The conquest of Chile is a period in Chilean historiography that starts with the arrival of Pedro de Valdivia to Chile in 1541 and ends with the death of Martín García de Loyola in the Battle of Curalaba in 1598, and the destruction of the seven cities in 1600 in the Araucanía region. This was the period of Spanish conquest of territories, founding of cities, establishment of the Captaincy General of Chile, and defeats ending its further colonial expansion southwards. The Arauco War continued, and the Spanish were never able to recover the short control in Araucanía south of the Bío Bío River. Pedro de Valdivia expedition to Chile in April 1539. Francisco Pizarro authorized Pedro de Valdivia as his lieutenant governor with orders to conquer Chile, that did not include monetary aid, which he had to procure on his own. Valdivia did so, in association with the merchant Francisco Martínez Vegaso, Captain Alonso de Monroy, and Pedro Sánchez de la Foz. Sánchez was the longtime secretary to Pizarro, who had returned from Spain with authorization from the king to explore the territories south of Viceroyalty of Peru to the Strait of Magellan, also granting Valdivia the title of governor over lands taken from the indigenous peoples. Valdivia came to the valley of Copiapó and took possession in the name of the King of Spain and named it Nueva Extremadura, to his Spanish homeland of Extremadura. On February 12, 1541 he founded the city of Santiago de la Nueva Extremadura on Hulan Hill. Governor Valdivia had rejected the position and titles due him while Pizarro was alive, as it could have been seen as an act of treason. He accepted the titles after the death of Francisco Pizarro. Pedro de Valdivia was named governor and captain general of the Captaincy General of Chile on June 11, 1541. He was the first governor of Chile. Valdivia organized the first distribution of encomiendas and of indigenous peoples among the Spanish immigrants in Santiago. The Chilean region was not as rich in minerals as Peru, so the indigenous peoples were forced to work on construction projects and place a gold mining. The conquest was a challenge, with the first attack of Michimalonco on September of 1541, burning the new settlement to the ground. Valdivia authorized Juan Bohorn to found the city of La Serena in 1544. The Juan Bautista Pastner expedition ventured to unexplored southern Chile in 1544, arriving at the Bío Bío River, started the Arauco War with the Mapuche people. The epic poem La Araucana by Alonso de Ursula describes the Spanish viewpoint. The Spanish won several battles, such as the Andalian Battle and Penco Battle in 1550. The victories allowed Valdivia to found cities on the Mapuche homelands, such as Concepcion in 1550, La Imperial, Valdivia, and Villarica in 1552, and Los Confines in 1553. Lautaro led the Mapuche rebellion that killed Pedro de Valdivia in the Battle of Tucapel in 1553. Cities. Spanish conquest. The conquest of Chile was not carried out directly by the Spanish crown but by Spaniards that formed enterprises for those purposes and gathered financial resources and soldiers for the enterprise by their own. In 1541 an expedition led by Pedro de Valdivia founded Santiago, initiating the conquest of Chile. The first years were harsh for the Spaniards mainly due to the poverty, indigenous rebellions and frequent conspirations. The second founding of La Serena in 1549 was followed by the founding of numerous new cities in southern Chile, halting only after Valdivia's death. In 1553, the The Spanish colonization of the Americas was characterized by the establishments of cities in the middle of conquered territories. With the founding of each city, a number of conquistadors became vecinos of that city, being granted a sola and possibly also a chacra in the outskirts of the city, or a hacienda or estancia in more far-away parts of the countryside. Apart from land, natives were also distributed among Spaniards, since they were considered vital for carrying out any economic activity. The cities founded, despite defeats in the Arauco War, were Santiago, La Serena, Concepcion, Imperial, Valdivia, Villarica, Los Confines, Caneta, Osorno, Arauco, Castro, Chilean, and Santa Cruz de Juanes. The destruction of the 7 cities in 1600 and ongoing Arauco War stopped Spanish expansion southward. Timeline of events.